So my name is William Blackmore. Hi. I'm in my mid-30s. I teach a bunch of different subjects, but science typically is my passion. So I teach astronomy at a local college. I teach physics and various other classes at a local high school. And what I'm passionate about is so many things. Obviously science. I'm a huge nerd. I'm wearing a NASA shirt, so got a rep. I'll take free swag from NASA, please, if possible. But I don't think they do that. But yeah, no, I just really love astronomy. I love space. I love all things physics and science. I'm very passionate about my family and friends and people that are in my circles. This will come up again, I'm sure, in a later question about why we're doing this. But I really love storytelling and sharing creativity with people. So I'm here.
Yeah, cool. When did you first get involved in any sort of role-playing game?
Gosh, I mean, I guess you could go back to ye old days, probably making up stories when I was a kid. But in terms of an official game, shortly after I think I graduated high school and I was just going to community college, and met up with some friends, and they're like, "Want to come to this back room with us and do D&D?" And I'm like, "All right." So yeah, I dabbled, and then I got hooked, and it was really fun. Just got to sit around with some friends on a fairly regular basis. My buddy who was running it was an author, and so he was kind of testing out some of his ideas in the games, and so we just had a lot of fun with it.
That does sound fun.
Yeah, but once we all split off and went to different colleges, out of state and things, and sort of like fell out of regular connection, and so I didn't play D&D for a really long period of time. I came back to Portland and I was working on my master's and met a good friend in the master's same program as I. And he kept talking about his hot wife, which I always thought was kind of adorable and calling BS on that. Then I got to meet her, and then she introduced me to you and said, "Hey, I play D&D."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Prove it."
Yeah.
And here we are, years later, still playing.
Bonnie is a great gateway drug back into D&D for sure.
Right? Yeah.
I love Bonnie. So I mean, you've been playing D&D with me for gosh now, I want to say like at least 4 years, but probably going on 5.
Yeah, so I think we're just past 5, I think.
Yeah.
Because we started towards the beginning of the summer, I think, of 2013.
Yeah.
Because then that following year, I went to Africa to teach astronomy for a few months.
Sure.
And that's coming up on a 5-year, well, good Lord, time.
Yeah, I know. Wow. So okay, and you've been playing in like both my games, which is great. So about this project, what interested you about this project?
So specifically about this project is taking this new leap into broadcasting our fun and our games and our connection, and that I found that really intriguing to kind of share that with the group. I mean, being a teacher, I'm all about sort of sharing with the public, sharing my passions, and so this is just an additional step for, like you said, doing this twice a week. That's obviously a good chunk of my time, and I set aside that and I value that, and figured others might like to enjoy that. But this particular process, starting from the basis of the world building, we've often played a lot of modules, which are very fun, and I thoroughly enjoy that. And we certainly tweaked and customized those, and will in the future. I love that play.
Yeah.
But to get a chance to be involved in building a world and the history, and collaboratively with everybody, combining it and getting to explore these ideas is thrilling. I'm kind of excited about it. We're a lot excited.
So that's kind of what hooked you. But now that we're like 2 weeks into it, and we'll be, I think, gaming our 3rd session tomorrow. How's it going so far?
Fantastic. Actually, just about every day, for the most part, for the last few weeks, talking to somebody else in my life, and I was like, "Look, can I tell you about a project that might sound weird, but I'm really thrilled about?" Sounds like you know exactly what I'm talking about at this point.
I think I've caught about 2, maybe 3 people into that exact conversation, and while they had no idea what the hell I was talking about, they clearly got how excited I was, and they sort of fed off that. So no, I totally get that.
Can I tell you about a creative collaborative process I'm doing with people? And they're like, "Cool." I haven't gone into the details. Not too much yet, right? There's some times where I was like, "Let me tell you about the great mycolog," but there's only so many biology nerds I wanna loop in it so far. Um,
Which, by the way, I want to know more about.
yeah, exactly.
FYI.
Yeah, where we are.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's going really well. And as evidence for me being really excited to tell other people about it. Like I knew it would be an interesting process, but I am so shocked by how well it's going. And like it's a weird combination of like a page turner, like picking up a book that you love and just wanting to keep finding out more. And D&D has always been a little bit like that in terms of you got one person who's the storyteller, and we're all creating the story as we go.
Yeah.
But this element so far is like I own a piece of the story, and I'm really curious about focusing literally on one element to it, and then I tell a piece of that story, so I have ownership in it, and then five or six other people around the table go, oh yeah, but what if? And then add, and like this crazy Jenga tower Lego construction that builds out of it, that just runs away from any like original idea I had, but enriches it in so many cool
Yeah.
senses.
Yeah, it's funny you said add, but I also see maybe not so much now, but like in the future, like also subtract, and then
Oh
more
yeah,
add. Like there's this weird like giveth and taketh away in the creation, in the world building creation.
absolutely. I mean, I the way Microscope is set up, at least how I'm viewing it so far, and I think we might tweak and play with it and house rule things,
Yeah.
down the line. But I see it as you're really selling your image, right? Of this is where I imagine this chunk of the world or history, going or looking,
Yeah.
and then you hand it off to somebody else because you can only plant that seed for the tree that you hope it to grow into. But then the next person goes, yeah, yeah, true, true, but I'm gonna take this bonsai tree a different direction, snip a couple of those branches that maybe you thought you were engaged in, but then you find something whole and new and beautiful that you didn't expect.
Right.
So I agree. Yeah, there's absolutely an addition, subtraction, morphing of what you thought it was going to become, and it's really, yeah, it's really
So
cool.
then, given that, like this might be kind of a silly and almost premature question, but is there anything that's popped up inside of the story so far that you are really itching to explore?
Yeah. I don't want to get there right off the bat, but I'm really intrigued about the splintering of the humans and the elves, right? Or slash creation of the humans, or creation of the elves. We're still fleshing that idea out. At that same sort of time period of where things are going on, I'm really intrigued about this, like demons of the sky like battle. I feel like there's so much interesting, or even like really war. I mean, it was a time period. It was a huge amount of time that there's terror that was reigning in the skies, and obviously I think that is going to have a lot of impact on the world, or whatever historical records remain from that. But where I really want to play first is. I think what we've been focusing on, because it seems like a lot of people's passion so far, is that peak of sort of like technological magic, society. That is, maybe we've forgotten these things that have happened in the past. We've forgotten the connection to perhaps nature and the natural magics that way.
Right.
Having more of like a high magic world. Honestly, it feels a little bit like maybe cathartic because it's similar to our world right now, and the way we're kind of looking at this, like limited resources. It'd be
Yeah.
nice to play out some concepts and some ideas, that maybe will give me some resolution that I'm not finding in this world right now.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
I feel you. So is there anything else you want to talk about in relation to like the game that I'm not even thinking about or bringing up?
Hmm. Um, Not a whole lot. I mean, for me, I am thrilled at how well everyone around the table is working and connecting,
Mm.
right? Because there's a lot of people around the table that I've played with for years, and some people that I haven't played with whatsoever. And I find it really intriguing how the different personalities are melding and connecting, and how well we're playing off of each other.
Right.
How well it feels like it's balanced, and that everybody is jumping in and having a say, and from their own perspective.
Right.
So it's like everybody has their little niche that they're really focusing on, but then also expanding and being forced to, in a good way, connect with everyone else's passion and connection, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like Connor, for instance, is so well detail oriented about some things, right? And then we get to explore that through his perspective, which is absolutely amazing. And Ashley, how she's really focusing on some of like the social justice issues, and then the questions, like probing questions she asks tasks are intriguing. I could go on about everyone around the table, but
Sure.
just as an example.
So I wanted to mention that I'm glad that so originally we weren't going to play around with scenes so much. It was just periods and events, and I'm glad that because when you brought up adding scenes into the equation, I was just sort of like, no, let's keep it as is. And you, I think, finally got to this place where you sort of described it and like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna just use scenes as questions to ask. And I thought that was like I was kind of a let's not do this, but then that got added in and it got explained the way it got explained, and I was like, oh, that's amazing. And so I'm really glad that that actually became a thing because it's another. I think having three slices of the, I guess, three layers of the pie that you can focus on. One large one.
You got to
one,
zoom in that microscope.
Yeah, yeah, I totally. Anyway, I just wanted to give you props for like
Thank you.
for pushing on that as much as you did and in the way you did, because I think it resulted in something really beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I was it's it might have ended up being something that we didn't call scenes. I felt like as we were going through the first couple rounds was like I want one more layer of clarification, right? And I agree. Like I didn't want to usurp our ability to play out things, right, and not say, hey, here is a scene. And I think that is an element of the game that is originally designed, right? It's like, okay, let's play out a scene, which is where we want D&D to live, and I think that's absolutely appropriate. But just reading that description of it, saying, I mean, it said start your scene with a question, right? That's what you're, it's that like episode title, right? If you will. If we're thinking of this like an old Star Trek, episodes, and that got me thinking about, okay, well, that's what I want for clarification, right? If we're creating these events that are a couple years long, or a battle or something like that could be months or weeks long, like I want to see be able to say something about a moment that's happening in there, right? Maybe not clarify what that moment is, but the question that leads us, like for measured from a DM perspective, like, okay, well, here's a plot device, right? Not saying how it's resolving or where we're going with it, but it's a hook for both us as well as the audience, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that.
We've got some good ones so far.
I also agree. So is there anything like in closing, is there anything you want to say either to like the rest of your the players that we play with, or the audience, or anything like that, in terms of like something you're excited about in the future? Could be general, could be specific.
Honestly, I actually kind of want to address our audience. I don't know where we're going to go with it necessarily yet, or how this world building process is going to, I hope, continue even after we start playing D&D. But I'm really excited about the idea of opening up this process to certain people, like in the audience, maybe like just questions we ask for them, or giving people like options if they're a certain tier, I don't know, to be able to like kick in ideas for the world building, because I really love this collaborative element to it. I love just seeing somebody's creative perspective on this world, because we're going to create something and we're going to have this idea and image of this world and philosophies and people in it, and that's still going to be interpreted entirely differently by someone else, and maybe they're really intrigued by this one element that we're not even thinking about now, but it comes up later. And so I'd be really excited to see you, the audience, get in on this and start helping us expand our world.
Yeah, that sounds intriguing. Yeah.
I mean, we still get final say. Control.
We hope.
Control.
We hope so. That's it, man.
Cool.